The Gita and other scriptures. The Bhagavad Gita, most of you perhaps have read it. It is the best commentary we have on the Vedant philosophy. But you find in the Gita there is no attempt at torturing any one of them. They all are right, says the Lord. For slowly and gradually the human soul rises up and up, step by step after step, from the gross to fine, from the fine to the finer, until it reaches the absolute, the goal. This is what is in the Gita. Even the Karm Kand is taken up, and it is shown that although it cannot give salvation direct, but only indirectly, yet that is also valid. Images are valid indirectly. Ceremonies, forms, everything is valid only with one condition: purity of the heart. The Upanishads and the Gita are the true scriptures. Gita is the gist of the Vedas. Gist means sar. Sar ka Veda ka sar hai Gita. It is not our Bible. The Upanishads are our Bible. It, the Gita, is the gist of Upanishads and harmonizes many contradictory parts of the Upanishads. For the whole gist of Upanishads was contained in the Gita. The Gita takes the ideas of Upanishads and in some cases the very words. They are strung together with the idea of bringing out in an compact, condensed and systematic form the whole subject the Upanishads deal with. Now it is for us to see what there is in Gita. If we study the irrelevant subjects, the sudden introduction of the discussion of the great truth, just as in the midst of the huge wilderness, a traveler unexpectedly comes across here and there is exquisitely beautiful that rose with its leaves, thorns, roots all entangled. Compared with that, the Gita is like these truths beautifully arranged together in their proper places, like a fine garland or a bouquet of the choicest flowers. In the more recent Upanishads, the spiritual ideas have been collected and brought into other one place. As in the Bhagavad Gita, for instance, which we may perhaps look upon at the last of Upanishads. In the recent and more recent Upanishads, the spiritual ideas have been collected and brought into one place. As in the Bhagavad Gita, for instance, which may perhaps look upon as the last of the Upanishads, you do not find any inklings of these ritualistic ideas. The Gita is like a bouquet composed of beautiful flowers of spiritual truths collected from Upanishads. But in the Gita, you cannot study the rise of the spiritual ideas. You cannot trace them to their source. To do that, as has been pointed out by many, you must study the Ved. Then between the Upanishads and the Sutras, which are the systematic. Upanishads and the Sutras. Brahma Sutras means aphorisms on Vedanta. You cannot find the rise of the spiritual ideas. You cannot trace them through their source. To do that, as has been pointed out by many, you must study the Vedas. Then between the Upanishads and Sutras, which are the systematizing of the marvelous truth of Vedanta, comes in the Gita, the divine commentary of Vedanta. The Upanishads, the Vyas Sutras and the Gita therefore have been taken up by every sect in India that wants claim authority of orthodoxy, whether dualist or Vishishtadvaitist or Advaitist. The authorities of each of these are the three prasthans. And prasthans, either one hears the Advait Keshari roaring in peals of the thunder, the Asti, Bhati and Priya. Priya means existence, conscious, the Chit, bliss, Anand, the three indicatives of Brahman. Amidst the heart stopping solemnities means Brahma Sutras of the Himalayan forests, mixing with the solemn cadence of the river of heaven, or listens to the cooing of the piya. Pitam means a kind of bird. Here the reference is to cohort maids and Krishna. In the beautiful bowers of the grove of Vrinda, where one mingles with the sedate meditations of the monasteries of Varanasi or the ecstatic dances of the followers of the prophet of Nadia. Whether one sits at the feet of the teacher of a Vishishtadvaita system with its Vadakale, Tenkale, and all the other subdivisions. The Tenkale means the two divisions of Ramanuja sect, and all the other subdivisions or listens with reverence to the acharyas of the Madhav school, whether one hears the martial Vaguru ki Fateh of the secular Sikhs or the sermons on the Granth Sahib of Udasis and Nirmalas, whether he salutes the sannyasin disciples of Kabir with Sat Sahib and listens with joy to the Sakhis bhajans, whether he pores upon the wonderful lore of that reformer of Rajputana, Dadu, and other works of his royal disciple Sundara Dasa, down to the great Nishchala Dasa, the celebrated author of Vichar Sagar. Which book has more influence in India than any other that has been written in any language within the last 3 centuries? If even one asks the Bhangi Mehtar of northern India to sit down and give an account of the teachings of his Lal Guru, one will find that all these various teachers and schools has their basis that system whose authority is the Shruti. Gita is its divine commentary. The Sharirak Sutra is its organized system, and all the different sects in India, from the Paramahams, Parivrajakacharyas to the poor despised Mehtar disciples of Lal Guru, are different manifestations. The three prasthans, then, in the different explanations of Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita or Advaita, with a few minor recensions, form the authorities of the Hindu religion. The great glory of Shankaracharya was his preaching of the Gita. It is one of the greatest works that the great man did among the many noble works of his noble life. The preaching of the Gita, writing the most beautiful commentary upon it. And he has been followed by all the founders of the orthodox sects in India, each of whom has written a commentary on the Gita. The Hindus visit foreign countries, Rangoon, Java, Hong Kong, Madagascar, Suez, Aydin, Malta, and they take with them Ganga water and the Gita. The Gita and the sacred waters of the Ganga constituted the Hinduism of the Hindus. The Gita, no doubt, has already become the Bible of Hinduism, and it fully deserves to be so. The Gita is to the Hindus what the New Testament is to the Christians. There are great many similarities in the teaching of New Testament and the Gita. The human thought goes the same way. God is everywhere, preached in the Gita. Hinduism, nothing without God. The Veds are nothing without him. Gita and the Shri Krishna. Krishna can never be understood until you have studied the Gita, for he was the embodiment of his own teaching. Every one of these incarnations came as living illustrations of what they came to preach. Krishna, the preacher of the Gita, was all his life the embodiment of the song celestial. He was the great illustration of non-attachment. With every great prophet, his life is only the commentary. Look at his life. What he did will bear out the texts. Read the Gita, you will find that this is exactly borne out by the life of the teacher. Sri Krishna spoke the Gita, establishing himself in the Atman. Those passages of Gita where he speaks with the word I invariably indicate the Atma. Take refuge in me alone means be established in the Atma. Atma means our spirit, our soul. This knowledge of the Atman is the highest aim of the Gita. The reference to the yoga, etc., are but incidental to the realization of the Atma. Those who have not this knowledge of the Atma are suicides. They kill themselves by the clinging to the unreal. They lose their life in the news of sense pleasures. You also, men, and can't you ignore this trash of sensual enjoyment that won't last for 2 days? Should you also swell the ranks of those who are born and die in utter ignorance? Accept the beneficial and discard the pleasant. Speak of this Atma to all, even to the lowest. By continued speaking, your own intelligence also will clear up. And always repeat the great mantra Tatvamasi, thou art that. Sohamsi, I am that. Sarva Khilvindam Brahma. All this is verily Brahma. And have the courage of the lion in the heart. What is there to fear? Fear is death. Fear is the greatest sin. The human soul, represented by Arjun, was touched with fear. Therefore, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, established in the Atma, spoke to him the teachings of the Gita. Still, his fear would not leave him. Later, when Arjun saw the universal form of the Lord and became established in the Atma, then with all the bondages of karma burned by the fire of knowledge, he fought the battle. Now, from his playful life at Vrindavan, come to the Krishna of Kurukshetra. And see how that also is fascinating, how amidst all the horrible din and uproar of fighting, Krishna remains calm, balanced, and peaceful. On the very battlefield, he is speaking the Gita to the Arjuna and getting him on the fight, which is the dharma of Kshatriya. Himself an agent to bring about this terrible warfare, Sri Krishna remains unattached to action. He did not take up arms. To whichsoever phase of it you look, you will find the character of Sri Krishna perfect, as if he was the embodiment of knowledge, work, devotion, power of concentration, and everything. In the present age, this aspect of Sri Krishna should be specially studied. Only contemplating the Krishna of Vrindavan with his flute won't do nowadays. That will not bring salvation to humanity. Now is needed the worship of Sri Krishna, uttering forth the lion roar of the Gita, of Ram and his bow and arrows, of Mahavira, of Mother Kali. Then only when the people grow strong by going to work with great energy and will. Keep aside for the present the Vrindavan aspect of Sri Krishna and spread far and wide the worship of Sri Krishna, roaring the Gita out with the voice of a lion. And bring into daily use the worship of Shakti, the Divine Mother and the source of all power.